What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're all good. Today I'm going to be talking about Jurgen Klopp, and the reason why I want to talk about Jurgen Klopp, for those who do not know, I'm an Arsenal fan, and I've heard people make comparisons between Jurgen Klopp and Arsene Wenger towards the end of his tenure at Arsenal. So there are certain similarities that they criticize Klopp about that they used to criticize Arsene Wenger towards the end of his reign. And I'll give you the examples now. Loyalty. So if you look at Liverpool this season, they've been struggling, and some people have labeled it because of Jurgen Klopp's constant loyalty to certain players, constantly refusing to bring in replacements, constantly refusing to freshen it up from time to time. Arsene Wenger had a similar issue with loyalty. He was not. If you look at some of the best managers, Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho, Sir Alex Ferguson, they knew the perfect time to replace a player. They were ruthless in that sense, that it was success over everything, to the point where they were willing to disrupt relationships between players and between people for success. So they would, like, for example, if you look at Pep and Cancelo, one mishap in training is out the door. With Arsene Wenger and Jurgen Klopp, in a way, they're more polite, they're more together with their players, and sometimes that can be a detriment to their team and to their squad, because now they have players that are really old and can no longer play the similar style that they used to play before. I mean, as we know, Klopp uses that rock and roll football, that heavy metal football. You can't really play that type of football with players that are 30, 31, 32. It's not going to work. So another similarity that we see is stubbornness in terms of formation, personnel, tactics, for example. I remember Arsene Wenger, for a very long time, he refused to change the way he played, which I respect to a certain extent. When a coach has a certain way of playing, and that it's that way or the highway, basically. They don't change it for anyone. It's either we play that way or we don't play at all. So Arsene Wenger with the tiki-taka football here and there, he had a set formation, the 4-2-3-1. You knew how Arsenal play all the time, but the issue is that you cannot always play certain formations unless you have certain players, right? You look at Liverpool, for example. Klopp is trying to play that heavy metal football, that 4-3-3, attacking, counter-pressing side that always attacks the opposition. But it doesn't work anymore because the players are no longer at the level in terms of their fitness. I mean, you look at Roberto Firmino. He's no longer that player anymore. He's no longer that player who's willing to press, who's willing to drop deep and do the hard work as he used to. Even their midfield, they don't have a Jorginho anymore. Fabinho looks tired. Henderson was 32. Thiago was never that type of player of heavy metal football. So Liverpool can't really play the Jurgen Klopp style because their personnel isn't that type of style. And unfortunately, Klopp is refusing to adjust to that to his new players, basically. To be fair, most of the similarities aren't so bad. There's some similarities like the ability to work with limited funds. We see that Jurgen Klopp, pretty much with less funds than than the top six, basically. In 7 years, he was able to build a team that won every single trophy that a club could win. You know what I mean? Arsene Wenger also, if you read documents of the Emirates era, you actually realize that Arsene Wenger had to work with the most limited amounts of funds to keep that Arsenal team in the Champions League, trying to compete from time to time. And you can see that both managers are really good when it comes to working with limited resources. That's a good quality trait to have. And most of these comparisons come because of Liverpool's recent struggles in the Premier League. Yeah, I think because they've been struggling and Jurgen Klopp has not been willing to change certain players and willing to change formations, therefore some people have started to wonder, is Klopp maybe too stubborn? Is he too rigid in his approach of the game? Does he not give enough opportunity to other players? stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not sure. As an Arsenal fan, there were times when we see Arsenal playing, and it's like Arsenal. You know how they'll play. They'll always attack, 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 but their defense was terrible. It was like that for a very long time. And so now you can see, in a similar way, Liverpool is reaching that state where there are certain players that, no matter how bad they play, they'll always be in the starting lineup. Another comparison that I found interesting, I don't know what you guys think, is the situation when it comes to the wages of the club. Now, I'm not talking about Klopp, now I'm talking about the institutions individually, Arsenal and Liverpool. When Arsenal's two stars, Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez, both of their contracts were running out at a certain point, and because of the funds, we could only keep one player. We had to choose between Mesut Ozil or Alexis Sanchez, right? And I assume most of the time the reason why we had to choose was because we didn't want to damage the wage structure. So Arsenal chose Mesut Ozil, and from then on, Arsenal could never find an adequate replacement for Alexis Sanchez. Similar thing with Liverpool, with Sadio Mane and Mo Salah. They didn't want to damage the wage structure, so they decided we would rather allow Mane to go and increase Salah's wages. Similar situation, but maybe it differs a bit in certain aspects, but it's similar in the way that it's been done. You tell me, do you think that Jurgen Klopp is the new Arsene Wenger? I mean, it's a crazy statement to make, but is he? Am I right in saying that there are similarities and there are things there that you can compare between the two managers? Let me know, and I'll catch you on the future videos. Thank you for watching. Consider liking and subscribing. I'll see you next time.